sold in slavery. It's talking about your forefathers. So it's letting you know, yeah, the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites, those people come from Ham. Those people are, quote, indigenous to the continent of Africa. But the people called Negroes, the ones who were sold in slavery, that were brought over on slave ships, okay, they are not from Ham. So where are you from? That's what it is we're teaching you. You come from Shem. Shem's descendants had a son by the name of Abraham, who had a son by the name of Isaac, who had a son by the name of Jacob, who in turn had 12 sons, and we come from those 12 sons, the people that were sold into slavery and the people whose land was robbed and taken so that this place could be built up by the slaves that were imported. Now what I want to do is take some more. We're going to jump down and hit some of the more, I should say, the more, you know, what would we call them, the harsher verses concerning slavery. So we're going to read verse 30. Go ahead, brother. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30.
Thou shalt betroth a wife.
Betroth meaning, now remember, these are curses behind disobedience. You shall be, betroth means to get a wife. Go ahead.
And another man shall lie with her.
Now they showed you that in movies like Roots and Mandingo and Drums and all the different type of movies that depict the chattel slavery life. The black men would get women and the master could come in and have their way with their women, with their daughters. It said, thou shalt beget a wife and another man shall lie with her. Go ahead.
Thou shalt build an house and thou shalt not dwell therein.
Yeah, because we were the ones, our forefathers were the ones who built all the plantation homes. It says, thou shalt build an house, but thou shalt not dwell therein. Go ahead.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
All throughout the slavery, when it says thou shalt plant a vineyard, it's talking about many things. Among the principal crops that were planted was tobacco, was cotton, was sugarcane. All of these things that was being done in the Caribbean, in the southern part of the United States, and all of South America, and all of Central America, all the crops. We didn't do that for ourselves. That was done to make these countries wealthy off of slave labor. I want you to jump down. No, read on down, because it's going to talk about what the Native Americans experienced. Verse 31.
Verse 31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes,
right,
and thou shalt not eat thereof.
They make movies about how the Native Americans used to feed off of the buffaloes and the things, those type of animals, the type of cattle that used to roam North America. So it's telling you, thine ox shall be slain before thine eye. When the so-called Europeans came in, they started the process of fur trading and trapping, where they kill the animals, strip them of the fur, and then let the meat rot. That's documented. We have photos of that. If the camera person can pan to the photos at the bottom to show you, there was once the buffaloes. It's kind of showing you the Native American conquest. This is an old photo that was taken of actual buffalo feeding like in 1893. And this is the fur trade. You got all these dead, these are not carcasses, these are the actual skins of thousands of buffalo that were killed, and not the carcasses, but the actual hide, the furs, stacked up so high that a man could sit weight about 5 feet off the ground. So read that again, brother.
Verse 31. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof.
In other words, the meat was there to rot. Go ahead.
Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face.
Go ahead.
And shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies.
In other words, it's talking about all the material wealth. Now, this back then was material wealth. This was what the people sustained themselves. This is what those people lived off of, our forefathers. Go ahead.
And thou shalt have none to rescue them.
In other words, everything that you have will be taken, and there will be nobody that you could turn to redeem you. In other words, to get you your goods back. Verse 32.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
Right. In other words, how many times in slavery, man? How many millions of times can you imagine as the couples had children and it came time to have slave auctions? How many families, how many countless families were divided on slave auctions? How where the father went to a plantation in Kentucky, and the mother went to a plantation in Virginia, and the son went to a plantation in Alabama, and the daughter went to a plantation in Georgia. That took place. That's why it said, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people. Go ahead.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long.
In other words, you'd be missing them. Go ahead.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
And there is nothing that you can do. I want you to jump down to, I want you to jump down to verse 36. Go ahead.
Verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
In other words, we got brought over here. We didn't know who these people were. The English were. We didn't speak English. We didn't speak Spanish. We didn't speak Portuguese. We didn't speak Dutch. Go ahead.
And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
When it says that there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone, it's literally talking about all the different religions that we were taught. Remember, everything we think we know about the Bible, everything that we know about the Bible that's been given to us, was given to us during slavery. That's why we speak in this language. That's why we have the type of names that we have. Everything that we know was given to us by our enemy, okay? So that right there has to be scrutinized. Yeah, the same one that taught you that Christopher Columbus discovered a place that's fully inhabited. That same person taught you who it is you are. We're going to jump down to verse 41.
Verse 41.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them. For they shall go into captivity.
Check that out. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters. It's talking about slavery. It's talking about giving birth to children and the children being sold off in slave auctions. Simple and plain as that. Who is it? Let me say, I've been around. Let's put all of these things together. Now, we found out that the people are black. Okay, they're black, they're dark-skinned people. We found out that they were brought from one extreme of the earth to another on slave ships. We found out that they were sold to their enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. In other words, slave men and slave women. We found out that no one has redeemed them yet. You know what I mean? But now we're reading about how there's thou shalt beget sons. In other words, all the conditions of chattel slavery. About planting a vineyard and not being able to reap from the crops. About building homes that other people lived in. That's talking about your forefathers. You want to sum up for one word? Roots. You want to sum up for another word? Mandingo. You want to sum up for another word? You know what? One of the good things that describe Deuteronomy chapter 68, where it says, "Now and the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships." I miss that. They got that one scene that shows the horrors that was taking place on the slave ship, man. And that's what happened to your forefathers. And why don't they teach that in any of these schools, any of these black universities, that it was Israelites being sold? Why don't they teach these things? Because do you really believe it's in the enemy's best interest to actually teach you who you really are? We're going to read on down. Verse 43. Now let me say this. Have you ever wondered why, if it's ever been brought to your attention, why it is that after 400 plus years, you could still be on the bottom, and America has opened its door to all sorts of immigrants from war-torn countries who come here and eventually do better than you within less than a decade? Have you ever wondered why the so-called Koreans and the Chinese and the different countries from Southeast Asia can come and build communities with their own banks, and they have all of their stores and flea marts and swap meets in your neighborhood, and they sell you all the black hair care products, and they sell the sisters the weave products? It's like they came over here so many years ago, studied you, got you to the teeth, and come down and have found out that you're the world's greatest consumers. Have you ever wondered why they prosper and you're still at the bottom? We're going to read verse 43. Read that.
Verse 43. The stranger that is within thee.
The stranger that is within thee, meaning that's among you. Go ahead.
Shall get up above thee very high.
Shall get up above you very high. Go ahead.
And thou shalt come down very low.
And you're going to go down very low. And I'm going to explain that. But like I said, who's been here longer than the Native Americans that we call Mexicans? That we